Any particular takeaway, your panel or from the conference itself?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that Baltic capital markets are active and there is a bright future for the markets because there is all the needed infrastructure, there is a strong banking sector, there is strong stock exchange, a very professional regulator, and there is interest from the issuers, and the investors have woken up. So that is the base.
You said that we need trust and money. So the first question is, will those come soon? As we are now in the sort of a crisis mode, aren't you afraid that the Baltic markets will be again forgotten should this crisis hit hard?
Well, yes, trust is key. But you build trust over a period of time. But you build trust also with success stories because the investors would like to see what are the experiences. And we today saw two great companies presenting their success IPO stories, actually several. So there was Indexo, there was Enefit Green, but there was also Coffee Address and successful bond listings. So the industry hears the success stories and that contributes to the trust building. And everybody understands that capital markets are like a pendulum, right? As Karel Ots said, it goes from one extreme to the other extreme, but it never stops. And therefore, but it goes like the trend is upward, the pendulum is moving upwards, which means there are prospects, and I think that the Baltic investor is actually in the early stage of awakening. We were said that Sweden, which is maybe 5-10 years ahead of us, has experienced massive interest from retail investors, and this wave could be coming in the Baltics, still just coming.
Where do you see the key triggers? For example, for the Latvian market, for IPOs, just to catch up with at least Estonia?
Well, it's not, of course, it would be good to catch Estonia, but on the other hand, these need to be like reasonable, common sense and sustainable projects. For instance, one of a great client of ours, Delfin Group, right? So they listed and they made a promise that they will pay quarterly dividends. And now, 1.5 years after basically the IPO, they have already paid the dividends out 6 times. And that is promises given, promises kept. They contribute to the trust. And this is just one example, I think, of a good listing and more to follow. There is definitely much more room for sustainability-related financial products, either green bonds or blue bonds. By the way, blue bond is the same as the green bond, simply it relates to the water, okay? So, and then also for green IPOs. And it's not just the name green, but basically it's the use of the proceeds. The proceeds from the investment will be used to finance sustainable development goals of the issuer concerned.
Do you think that energy companies should be taxed for this extra profits they have now? And if yes, where should the proceeds go?
Well, the energy companies are actually the brown companies are making huge profits now. I think that, well, they simply use the situation. The management boards there are not doing anything like bad because they are doing the best to increase the shareholder value. So they have a fiduciary duty to make profit. We cannot accuse the management boards. But what I think is going wrong, it's at the moment this Nord Pool stock exchange has proven from a very good idea originally, as at the moment the something which actually keeps the prices up to levels which are unreasonably high. I think that is a policy question, that is a cooperation question among the states, but Nord Pool stock exchange has at the moment proven not definitely in the best interests of the producers, of the people, of the economies.
Of 3 Baltic markets, which has the best IPO potential and why?
I have to root for Latvia, right? So because I think that Latvian companies, they are, I would say, there is a real potential for state and municipal sector. There needs to be much more activity in that respect, but it is coming. Because Riga City Municipality, for instance, has massively increased the good governance of their municipal companies over the last 4 years. There's a fundamental change, right? And the companies like, for instance, Riga Water Company or Riga Transport Company or Riga Houses Management Company or Riga Forests Company, all these are basically potential issuers, at least of bonds, if not equities at a later stage. And we should not have this perception that going to a stock exchange by a municipal company means some kind of privatization in the wrong sense of this word. It's actually inclusion without losing the control in the most instances for the municipality, not at least in the short term. The key shareholder is not losing control. It is simply allowing the company to be very well managed. It is, the disclosures are much more on a regulated market, and also it allows our people, Riga citizens, Latvian citizens, to invest their money into Latvia-related business, which makes our country more stable, I would say, more sustainable and more secure. And the money stays into the country rather than is invested elsewhere.
Which Baltic company or brand would you want to go public?
Well, I really would like our national carrier, Air Baltic, to go public. I know they have been, for obvious reasons, postponing the IPO, but I think it's about time that they get on the project and go public.